All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Odette Ramos, Councilwoman for the 14th District. Chair is going to be on his way shortly, and said we should go ahead and get started. With us today, staff to the committee and the one who holds it all together for us, Marguerite Curran. Also from the mayor's office, Nina Themelis, and I think Sophia's back there as well. Deputy Mayor for Community Economic Development, Ted Carter is here. And I know the Council President's office will be in. So we just wanted to keep everybody on schedule today. And I have questions for today. We're going to be hearing from MOED, Mayor's Office of Employment Development, and we're here on Council Bill 22-0235, the Ordinance of Estimates. This afternoon, we're going to be hearing from MOED and just some ground rules. We need you all to talk into the mic because folks at home need to hear us. So if you would just pick up the mic and talk into it. And then we should be all set. Now I understand that Jason Perkins Cohen is not with us today, so if you can introduce yourself and your staff, name and position, that would be super helpful. And how many slides do you have?
I think I have 9. I think I have 9.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we have an hour for this hearing, so don't take an hour. But go ahead.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman. My name is Mackenzie Garvin. I go by Mac. I am the Chief of Staff at MOED. As you said, unfortunately, our director, Jason Perkins Cohen, he could not be here today. Really exciting for him. His son graduated from college, so he had some plans that he could not get out of, or he would be here. So thank
totally
you.
Acceptable. Yeah. Acceptable. No worries.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me and my colleagues to fill in.
Oh, sure. Absolutely capable of doing it. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you for spending time with us.
I'm just going to have them go ahead and say their names and titles. It's probably easier.
That's
I do
fine.
know them, by the way, but I'll let them go ahead and say it.
That's totally fine.
Good afternoon. Craig Lewis, Assistant Director, Chief of Adult Services.
Hi, I'm Patty Morphy. I am the Director of Performance and Planning for MOED.
Good afternoon. My name is Donnice Brown, Assistant Director, Chief of Youth Services.
Good afternoon. My name is David Higgins, Interim Assistant Director and Chief Financial Officer of MOED.
Great. Thank you so much. We're being joined by Council Vice President Middleton and Councilman Torrance when he comes back. So go ahead with your presentation.
Sure. Before I get into the presentation, I just wanted to lay out a couple of key concepts just to keep in mind as I'm talking through the slides. The first thing, obviously, we know that the pandemic created a health crisis, but in addition to that, it created an employment crisis. And obviously, with us being an employment agency, that impacted us significantly. There were just levels of unemployment completely through the roof, have not been seen since Great Depression. That not only impacted us, but it also impacted our partners as well, our partners that co-locate with us in our centers. We have partners who we co-locate with, and we also have referral partners. So related to that, because of health and safety reasons, we also had to close our centers. And so that impacts the way that we are accustomed to delivering service, and also for our customers receiving services in a certain way. And the third thing that I just want to note is that we were able to introduce some virtual services, and we do have customers that took advantage of that. Some of the way that the performance measures are set up, they're really based upon a pre-pandemic model where individuals would go into a physical location and the service was tied to that location, and just to keep that in mind for the future. Mm-hmm. Okay, going right into the slides. The first slide is Service 791. This is a contract that we have with Baltimore City Public Schools to operate our youth academy, which is located in our Westside WIOA Center. There's 2 important things to remember here. Number 1, there is no city money involved. And number 2, if you look at the output, you can see that we actually served a fair bit more than at FY20. However, the output is really more like an input. So we can only serve those individuals who are actually referred to us from the school system. In terms of the employment, obviously we would like for those numbers to be higher, but as I laid out in the context, the customers that we serve are often the hardest impacted when our centers are closed. Next slide. The next service number, 792, this supports our Workforce Reception Center. This is on 23rd in Maryland. This is a contract that we have with the Department of Human Resources. At this center, we work with customers who are on temporary cash assistance, also commonly known as cash welfare. Similar to the last slide, we can only serve customers who are referred to us by the Department of Human Resources. We don't have any control over those referrals. We do have some indication that maybe that could rise in the future, but again, we do not have control over the number of referrals. I do want to note that across the country, any person who is on TCA, they were required to participate in a certain level of work activities to be eligible for those benefits. Because of the pandemic, those work activities were suspended, and that really accounts for the decrease in the number of referrals. Next slide, Service 793. This supports our community job hubs and some of our 21st century workforce services. During this time period, there were 3 job hubs that were active. So there was GEDCO, Bon Secours, and My Brother's Keeper. The Job Hub model is such that we partner with a nonprofit organization, one that we know is really strong in the community. They have a lot of traffic coming through their center. They offer a lot of services to the community. And then we have an MOED staff member that is physically located at that location as well to offer MOED services to those customers. Of course, as I stated before, it impacted our partners as well. So when our hub partners were closed, that impacted our staff's ability to be able to deliver services in the same way. In terms of effectiveness, I will say that we were able to offer virtual services, and there are many customers that did take advantage of those services. The way that this metric is set up, it doesn't account for those virtual services. So when we have a big virtual setting where people are coming in from all over, it doesn't really fit with our traditional model where someone comes in, we attach them to that center, and we're able to track the services in that way. So we feel pretty confident that virtual services will stay in addition to traditional services, so we should think about in the future how we want to account for that. This is just our administration budget. There's no metrics here, so I'm just going to keep moving. The next, Service 795, services at our 2 comprehensive one-stop centers. This actually does account for some virtual services. If you look at the output, there's quite a fluctuation here. So if you look at FY20, that is really the number of individuals that were seeking unemployment insurance. It was a lot of individuals. The city of Baltimore doesn't play any role in that. It's completely an activity that's led by the state. But because so many people were reaching out, we also, and they were having some challenges as well, we also served some customers there as well. We met the output in FY21, but if you look at, again, the outcome, it's service delivery from a one-stop center. Next slide. This next service number, 796. This supports our re-entry center, which is located within our Northwest Career Center, which is located at Mondawmin Mall. It's also commonly referred to as the REC. You can see in the output here, there was quite a hit taken, and this really is because the customers that go into the REC, they're really accustomed to physically being able to come into the REC to receive those services. And because we're working with the re-entry population here, this is a group that often has lots of challenges with the digital divide. There's another factor here, which is we also work with referral partners like parole and probation, and they were disrupted as well. I can say, looking already at the numbers for next year, that we feel very confident that we'll be very close to the goal, and we can already say in terms of the employment, we have already met that target. So next year, we're feeling very good. Okay. This is Service 797. This supports our 2 youth opportunity centers. We have one on the east side. That center is on North End and Wolf, and we have a contract with HEBCAC. And then we have one on the west side, which is at Lafayette and Gilmore. The output here actually is pretty much in the range, which is pretty remarkable considering all the things I just said previously and the population being served. In terms of the outcome, it's a little bit lower, but we do not consider this to be really a change in service level, but really just a change in our practice. Previously, the numbers were self-reported, but now we look into the Criminal Justice Information Center to determine if anyone was involved in the juvenile or adult criminal justice system. Obviously, we want that number to be 100% avoidance, but given the population being served and a lot of the challenges that they face, this 85% is probably a little bit more accurate. YouthWorks, yay. We're excited about that. YouthWorks, it's timely to talk about YouthWorks because it's about to start in about a month, July 5th for this year. Obviously, we're not talking about this year right now, but obviously we're always excited about YouthWorks. It's a program that serves young people ages 14 to 21. It normally runs 4 weeks, but in this case it was 5 weeks. What I think is really remarkable about this is that at this time, well, let me back up. YouthWorks is an activity that spans over multiple fiscal years. So we're talking about here the summer of 2020. So we're talking about March pandemic, the summer of 2020, and we definitely had to scramble. Not only us, but every jurisdiction across the country that had a YouthWorks program had to try to figure out what they could do. And some big jurisdictions like New York, they said, absolutely not, we can't have a program. But we in Baltimore, we're really excited. We had a program and we were able to offer employment to 5,017 youth, which is really great. We're excited to say that this year we're able to offer employment to 6,700 young people, which is a bump. It's not quite pre-pandemic levels, but we're really excited about that trajectory. But the most exciting thing, if you look at the effectiveness, you can really tell that employers really, really value YouthWorks. I think this might be the last slide. This is Workforce Services for WIOA Funded Youth Service 800. This is a federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds. We actually put all this money out on the street. We contract this all out with providers that work with young people. Again, the output is pretty much in range of previous years. It's actually higher than in FY18. Again, very remarkable considering the circumstances. Again, these providers also had the same challenges as we did, and they needed to offer services virtually as well. And then the outcome that is set by the federal government. So I think that is everything in terms of the slides. And we're open to taking any questions.
Great, thank you so much. We will definitely open to questions. I know my colleagues are very interested, and it's great to see that YouthWorks is getting back to pre-pandemic levels. Just a quick question from me, and then I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Obviously, through the job hubs and through, first of all, I'm so excited to have a job hub in my district at Waverly Library. The library is really a place, and we discussed this with the libraries before, you know, that everybody feels comfortable, they're not judged. Our staff at the Waverly Library are just phenomenal, so I'm glad to have that partnership. Just given all of your centers and all of the front-facing work that you do, how many of the staff and partners at MOAD speak Spanish?
So thank you for asking this question. Currently, we have 3 staff members that are bilingual. So I want to actually talk to you about all the things that we're doing to work with the immigrant community. We actually are being really intentional about reaching out, increasing our services. In addition to those 3 staff members, we are currently recruiting for a Spanish-English bilingual mobile career navigator, which is really great. I know some other council members have worked with our mobile career navigator team, and we feel like this is really important because this person will be really all over the city. And I have a list here of some other things I just want to let you know about. We worked with MEMA to train all of our staff on the language line recently. We provided all our staff with language identification cards and updated our I Speak posters in our centers, which allows our residents to specify which languages they speak. We recently presented during MEMA's biweekly community stakeholders call. We joined the Latino Provider Network resource meetings to raise awareness and expand our reach. Like I said, we're currently recruiting for someone right now. One thing that I think is really important, perhaps is even something that you could offer assistance to us as well. I'm excited that you are excited about the hubs. We're in the process of continuing to expand our community job hub model. We have attempted to partner with 2 organizations that work exclusively with the immigrant community. I wouldn't say it has been unsuccessful, but it has not been successful yet. And we think that that would be really impactful if we could have an MOED staff person located in one of those locations. I can share the information about
Sure,
who
I'll be
those
happy to help.
organizations are offline, but
Yeah.
we're really interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to help you. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll open it up to my colleagues. Vice President Middleton?
Thank you. And greetings. I, first of all, thank all of you for the work you continue to do to keep our youth very busy and helping them in their career path. I guess the first thing is a request. Can we have can you send to the committee an updated contact list of your staff if you have not done that yet?
Yes, we certainly can do that.
With phone numbers, emails, and their job title.
Yes, we could.
You know,
certainly.
that's for us to help you with, you know, that outreach to residents and communities.
I do think that we're getting that for every agency, right, Nina? So we'll just make sure that we have everything for MOED as well. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's forthcoming sometime this week or next week. Oh, it is this week. Excellent. So great.
And as far as youth works, of course, that, you know, that is definitely a highlight of your office, and keeping those numbers up very high. I know there was discussion for year-round youth work. Has that been implemented yet, or did COVID kind of rearrange that?
It has not been implemented yet. It's still very much in discussion and consideration, and hopefully when we can have some updates on that, we'll be able to provide that specifically to you.
Okay, thank you. And
Just,
do
I
we-
want to make sure I got that request. I'm sorry. Just
Okay,
want to make
sure,
sure.
sure.
Say it again.
Just, they said there's been discussions on year-round youth work.
Yes. So you
So-
would like an update on that?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. We're good? Okay, great.
And-
I'd love one too, so just include it to the committee. Thank you.
And do we have the same number of one-stop centers in our, has any closed, or has there been added ones, or?
We do have the same number of one-stop centers, and our one-stop centers are back in full operation, so they're open during normal business hours as they were pre-pandemic levels, so anyone can come in and physically receive services. And then we also have our job hubs. We've expanded our job hubs to also include the Waverly Library. We also have some mobile career navigators on our team, and then of course we are offering virtual services. So at pre-pandemic, we've actually expanded our reach in addition to our hubs and other ways people can access our services.
Okay. And then lastly, your work with ex-offenders, is that work specifically just at the Baltimore City Jail, which we know is a state facility? Or are you just working with Baltimore City ex-offenders that come from Baltimore City Jail?
It's my understanding that we're just working with Baltimore City residents. I'm going to ask my colleague, Craig Lewis, to chime in and see if he wants to add any more details to this.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. And so we do reach out to correctional facilities around the state through some of our partners for individuals being released back to Baltimore City to engage them in services. so that we can reduce the level of recidivism.
Okay, so that's a yes that for Baltimore City residents, but they're coming from different facilities around the state. Gotcha. And then, is there an apprenticeship program specifically at City Jail? Do you know?
There are a number of programs that involve occupational skills training to include apprenticeship at some of the correctional facilities.
Is apprenticeship still in your office? The actual.
It's not.
Michael Alexander, I think, is the apprenticeship guy. Is he working out of your office?
He does not work in our office. It's not in our office. As a part of our state ARPA award, we have an apprenticeship subsidy program. So we have a coordinator that works with the state, and they also work with businesses who are interested in hiring apprentices. We recently had an apprenticeship fair, I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that coordinator works with businesses who are interested in either reinvigorating their program or recruiting for their program, and we're able to offer a subsidy of, I believe, $2,500.
So is that a Baltimore City that person a Baltimore City employee?
Yes.
Okay.
No, they're not a Baltimore City employee, but a Baltimore City resident. It's for Baltimore City residents
Okay.
at private
So
sector
they're a
businesses.
state employee, but the
The
coordinator.
coordinator.
The coordinator is a city employee.
Okay,
And they work
okay.
for MOED. That particular initiative is funded through our state ARPA grant. So this is the first year that we've had this initiative.
Okay.
And so the individuals who are hired that can receive the subsidy, they can be hired at a private sector company that has an apprenticeship program, and we're able to subsidize that $2,500 of wages.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the work that all of you continue to do.
Thank you.
I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Just to follow up on the returning citizens, the pre-release programs are important. So if I can understand correctly, you're actually you participate in the pre-release sites, and then when people get out and go home, then you're also still with them. What's that flow? If you could tell me.
Sure. And so through some of the partnerships that we have with our state and local partners, so anyone that is released back into Baltimore, our goal is to engage them in services. And so we work very closely with the courts. We work very closely with our state partners who go out into those facilities around the state, providing information about our services, about the resources. And so we have staff at our REC, our Northwest Career Center, that as individuals come in, we're able to do various assessments and provide them with the resources and the services that they need so that they can get connected to employment.
But you're not in the pre-release section where the jails are actually getting people ready to come out. So
No.
but they're referred to you after. Okay,
That
I
is
got
correct,
it now.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. I appreciate that. Councilman Torrance?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions, but just accolades for the agency and the yeomanship they're doing with youth works.
Closer to the mic, please.
No actual questions, just hats off to the agency for the work that they're performing throughout the pandemic, mainly, especially with online youth works, to just create that in a time where there was difficulty in getting students access to online access, but also doing it in a way that allowed us to have jobs for each one of the youth that signed up for it. I congratulate you on that, but also congratulate you guys on figuring out ways to be innovative and getting more of our residents employed. Looking forward to seeing what other innovative ways you do. Especially, I believe you guys have a partnership with Lyft now for persons who are in their first, I think, 42 rides, I believe, which to me is big because in my district, a number of people, that first month of getting to employment is important. The next step that we need to work on as a city is how do we bridge that gap for childcare as well for those persons who are returning, because while we may get you to the job, something may happen that may not allow you to get there. So I think that should be the next phase that we should think about in terms of funding. that's why I yield back to you.
That's an excellent point, Councilman, and actually leads me to a question around as we're preparing folks are coming into the job centers or to the job hubs and to the, all the various places where you are accessing through virtual. There are barriers to employment, such as housing, such as childcare. And so do folks in your office help to maneuver that? How does that work? And I think the office did a study recently about the barriers and how to overcome them. Am I right about that?
So in terms of the way in which we work, we have partners located in our center. We're also working on a really innovative approach called access points, where we are creating really an online referral network. And so if someone needs to be referred to another partner organization, we can refer them in the system and we can track them there. Also, in terms of supports, especially for our ARPA programs, for example, we made sure that we had a lot of supportive services that are attached to those programs. So legal services, behavioral health, transportation, career navigation, et cetera. Obviously, there are a lot of other barriers to employment that continue to need to be addressed, and we can always strengthen the relationship with the partners, but we do refer people out to our partners that we know that can provide assistance.
Well, just so you know, I'm imagining you have partnerships with the CAP centers. One of the things that we had heard the other day during their hearing is they're trying to do more with co-locating some of their staff in places where people come, so that there can be that kind of connection if there's other supports that are needed. This is in their 1 or 2 year away plan, but certainly want to make sure that you all are connected with that. And it's been kind of my vision to have really not even a one-stop, but it's wherever there's an entry point for assistance, that then the entire family gets that assessment of the other things that they need. And it sounds like you're moving in that direction with your online referral network, so that folks can enroll in energy assistance or whatever it is, because in order to get a job, you have to be stable in other things. So it sounds like you're moving in that direction also.
Yes, what you described is exactly what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that our job seekers are not, flung all around in a really complicated workforce system. We want to make sure that the system is streamlined and people are coming into the system and getting what they need from the system at the right point, and that's why we call it access points. We want them to be able to access from a certain area and be able to receive everything that they need.
Yeah, it's going to take some comprehensive case management too, which it's really difficult, but super, super needed. So I'm glad that you've recognized that. I noticed that in your budget, you have a lot of grant funding. So what percentage of the office is grant funded?
I'm going to ask my colleague, David Higgins, to answer that question.
Well, I'm going to answer that pre-ARPA funds because I have
Pre-ARPA, correct? Yeah.
Third of our funding comes from city general and 2/3 from state and federal.
Okay, so 2/3 is grant funded. Yeah. Well, state or federal.
Yeah,
right.
State or federal.
Because there's a lot of federal money for the Workforce Investment Board.
Most of it is federal, but most of it is what we call pass-through or set aside through the federal government, but given to us by the state.
Correct, yes, yeah. Because again, with the Workforce Investment Boards and the one-stops, I think is one of those pieces, gotcha. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions on behalf of Councilman Burnett. He's not able to join us since they have a little baby now, so I know, it's very cute. So we're looking at the BCPS, Alternative Options Academy. Can you tell us a little bit more about this program and what is, some of the long-term plans, and making sure that we have, explaining some of the challenges, because obviously, young people are coming in from the school system, so tell us a little bit more about it and any challenges with transition planning compliance.
Sure. I'm going to ask my colleague, Donise Brown, who's our Assistant Director for Youth Services.
Good afternoon, and thank you for that question. The Baltimore City Public Schools Alternative Options Academy is a partnership between Baltimore City Public Schools, the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. It's housed on the top level of our Youth Opportunity Center on Lafayette Avenue. So those students, it's also a referral based through the Office of Reengagement and Alternative Options. So many of the students are referred there by Baltimore City Public School System. Just recently, we started initiating partner meetings because we do also have a daycare center that's housed in the building, as well as the Youth Opportunity Center on the first floor, and there's a caterer there. So having new management on multiple levels, including myself and the Youth Opportunity Center manager, we've asked that we begin to have regular partner meetings with the principal, Mr. Adams, there to talk about ways that we can develop and grow the program and the partnership, and to make sure that we're providing appropriate services, especially in the area of workforce development, to those students who are actively attending.
And if I heard you correctly earlier, it's only Baltimore City, it's only referrals from the school system.
Correct.
In terms of the students that participate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Colleagues, do you have anything else?
Just two things.
Yep.
The partnership with the Baltimore City Public Schools, can you add or consider adding financial literacy coursework or workshop or something with these students that are referred to you? I'm finding that's kind of is a focus that I'm focusing on with the Baltimore City Public Schools. There really needs to be some kind of coursework on financial literacy for especially for 11th and 12th graders in our school system that graduate from high school and they don't have a savings account. They don't know anything about banking. They don't, it's independent living skills. And I know in all of the surrounding counties, they have actual courses that the students get credit for in the 11th or 12th grade, and Baltimore City doesn't have that. So it is, in my eyes, a big void. So I just wanted to add that piece. You want to comment?
I just wanted to acknowledge Chair Costello as well.
Yes, we certainly can add that component, and there is some financial literacy, but we can definitely deepen the training that's provided to those young adults in addition to their workforce development components.
And I also, Councilwoman Ramos had mentioned about the CAP centers, but also wanted to add the Office of African Male Engagement, which is part of that Office of Family and Children's Success, which is doing a lot of street work, meeting these young men and some women where they are on the streets with different services, and to have that kind of connect as well. And there's other nonprofits like Us that are doing, they want to grab these young people kind of in an emergency situation if it's a job need to get them off of those streets. So I don't know if you have that relationship yet, but
We do have that relationship. We are working closely with MOAIM, also on our Higher Up initiative. We do have staff members that go out there with them and also participate with that nonprofit as well. So we have staff members that are there too.
awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. Torrance, do you have? Okay. Just going back to my previous question, can you, and if you don't have this now, that's fine. I'm interested to know of the residents that you're helping to get training and jobs. Is housing as an obstacle like top for them? Is it transportation? Is it daycare? Do you know what that is?
I would say all are
All the above,
all are
sure.
a challenge.
Yeah.
I could get back to you with some more sort of like official numbers, but I think all of them are a challenge. Transportation especially is a challenge for people in the city, but all.
I think that would be helpful information for us, if you can, Sophia and Nate. With MOED, the request is specifically when, I guess we can say for the last fiscal year, the folks that you've helped, what is the top barrier to entry, and then, you can give us a ranking. That would be super helpful. Does that make sense? Yep, okay. Excellent. The other question that Councilman Burnett has is, we notice on page 76, actually, this is my question. On page 76, under workforce services, you're getting an increase in federal money for those services. And this is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. You'll be able to hire, it looks like, 20 more people to handle this service. And it sounds like this is really your one-on-one work with people who are trying to get jobs. Is that correct? That's what this is?
I have to look at the.
Oh, excuse me, yeah.
Can you repeat on which?
Yeah, just trying to get clarity on the increase. You're going to be able to, it looks like you're going to be able to hire 20 more positions. I'm on page 76.
Is this ARPA? Yeah.
It shouldn't be ARPA. There's no ARPA in here. Unless it's like leftover cares or something.
I'll have to confirm that.
State ARPA funds.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Okay. So this is that right?
It's
Go ahead.
state ARPA funds, not part of the direct allocation to the city.
And so we're including anything from the state or federal level that doesn't come from this ARPA, we're still including
It's still
in order to
reflected here.
capture it here.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you. Councilman Burnett is asking about what is driving the increase for local hiring coordination. This is on page 75 under administration.
What's driving the increase is that there was an additional local hiring law that was passed a few months ago. I can't remember the exact month, but there's a new local hiring law that has a significant amount more of requirements. So the law says initially that it's for, I believe it's for any contract that's over $5 million, and it's at the time of bid solicitation. So that's different than a contract being awarded. And then after that, there's a significant amount more of data that needs to be collected in addition to the regular local hiring. So because there's a new law that requires a lot more.
Law, right, that was
Yeah.
passed
Yes.
in the previous council, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. We just wanted to clarify all of that. I think that's it for me. Colleagues, do you have anything else?
Just one last.
Go ahead,
that
go
popped
ahead.
in.
Yeah.
The school system also acknowledged that they have an increase in homeless youth. Do you have any help in program with any teen homeless facilities or with the school system?
In our East Side Youth Opportunity Center, we do have a location called The Nest that is there that provides 60 to 90-day services for young adults who are in a transitional housing or in a crisis state as it relates to housing.
Okay, but none on the west side at
No.
this time? Okay.
Are there plans to move in that direction for West Side?
We're always looking for additional partnerships and with other organizations that offer housing assistance.
Okay, that's good to know. I do have a list
Yes.
that could help you. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important. Anything else?
That's it for me. Anything else? You're good.
Okay, we want to thank you for coming, and of course, thank you for all of your important work for our city, and for it's such an important service. And we all love YouthWorks, and glad that that's still moving forward as well. So we are in recess until 4 o'clock when we hear from the Department of General Services. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.